Lawsome by Consultwebs. Breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm with your host, Tanner Jones.
Hey, all you Lawsome listeners. Today on the show, I'm excited to be talking with Jay Sarmaz, co-founder and CEO of Truve, a legal technology company at the forefront of revolutionizing the legal industry by harnessing the power of data and leveraging large language models to transform legal operations. Jay leads the data science and the AI team while setting an overall growth strategy. He has 12 plus years of experience in research, design, implementation of software, advanced analytics, and data science projects. Jay has generated 500 million plus in value for Fortune 100 companies, and he's always been at the intersection of technology and business, creating and optimizing systems, specifically to leverage people, processes, and technologies. Jay's passion is to work on complex problems that require a combination of mathematics, data science and AI, software engineering and AI, as well as creativity. What a fun topic. Today's topic, it's the future of AI in the legal industry. Welcome, Jay. Very glad to have you on the show.
Thank you, Tanner. Thanks for having me and for the great introduction there.
Most certainly. So let's just jump right in. I think, we have a few different directions we want to take this conversation with respect to AI, but just as we get started, clearly technology is progressing. We hear it, we're everywhere. We hear it on the news, we read it in our emails, we hear it from marketing companies, and let's be honest, it's giving us all heart palpitations and thinking, where is this going? Law firms clearly want to be able to exploit this. They want to use it to their benefit, to their clients' benefit, but also they're hearing all of this like flowery language about streamlining processes, saving significant time, cutting down on your expenses, better outcomes for clients. All of these things seem very exciting, clearly. So let's hear from you, Jay. What's the future of AI? How is it going to shape the legal industry?
So it's first of all, it's absolutely very exciting times for AI when it comes to legal. So Tanner, if you really think about the legal industry, it is one of the more inefficient industries, and I'm saying this, not negatively because of various reasons, because a legal process requires you to process a large amount of data when you look at the matter that you have on hand, as well as finding comparative matters in the past. So that's a lot of information. You need to have a very specific knowledge in a very specific area to be able to handle that type of a legal matter. You need to think about things like legal and ethical judgment, when you're handling legal matters. Because of these, the legal matters are actually non-standard. So you go from one case to another, it is just not standard. It's not, copy the same model to every single case and kind of like, work your way through it. So it has not been that way. But more recently, the developments in the science fields like natural language processing, which allows you to process images and voice and video, or the neural networks, which allows you to create a similar neural network structure in computers for computers to understand a specific concept or a specific information. And just in general, a lot of machine learning models made it possible to tackle these non-standard or non-linear problems. So, when you say non-standard, non-linear, the number one thing that comes to mind is obviously legal industry. So, so the AI can now automate these routine tasks and can help law firms or lawyers in general to be able to analyze large volumes of data, finding patterns and correlations that would be super, super hard for a human to identify in a very short period of time. So therefore, AI can significantly help automate and support the complex matters and just in general legal operations. This just means that AI is going to allow lawyers and law firms to focus on more strategic work. I definitely think we are going to be talking about legal tech and legal AI over the next 10 to 15 years. Just like we have done the same in education tech and fintech and health tech in the last 10 to 15 years. It is absolutely exciting times, and I see the legal tech industry to be one of the main focus points over the next 10 to 15 years.
And I would agree with that. And we're all kind of in this hurry up and wait moment, it feels like, and seeing practically how is this going to influence my practice. Do you have any specific examples? You mentioned tasks, for example, but are there any specifics or anything just to help our listeners understand what may be influenced within business operations?
Absolutely. So the number one thing, I can give an example actually from Truve as well. So the birth of Truve was coming from an AI model called case value estimator. So I'm just going to give a very specific example here. Obviously, our model is a lot more than just for personal injury, but I'll take the personal injury as an example. So in a personal injury case, you have the plaintiff side of, you have a plaintiff lawyer and a defense law firm. And the plaintiff law firm is representing the party that is not at fault. And usually the defense law firm is representing the party at fault. So when you think about the case values, there's a lot of things that impact the value of a legal case. So, this person got in an accident, got injuries, and those injuries can be hundreds of different types of injuries. There's property damage. There is the age of the person and, where the accident happened, and, all types of information related to that case. So for you to be able to find a really fair value of a case, you would need to analyze all of your historical cases that are similar to that case, but then you have just way too many factors. So things like, what is the value of someone not being able to use their shoulders, for like 20% of their shoulder, I guess, like motion range, when it comes to a legal case? Like, what is the value of that for someone that's 30 years old versus 40 years old? That is really, really hard for a human being to be able to assess and create a fair estimation or fair valuation. So we have created a model as an example to support the decision-making process for law firms to say, looking at all similar cases historically, this is why this case is worth this much. And here is why. Here are all the factors that are coming into that process. So you can actually estimate the values of cases using AI.
Yeah, that's helpful, Jay. Thank you for that. And I think that helps our listeners just to start to see how that big data, you can start to essentially assess that through AI and give you, in some instances that may take days, if not weeks of research and consideration, giving you that information in a much more streamlined, expedited way. But I'd like to take a slightly different direction because I've worked with lawyers for a long time now, and I know that certainly just across the industry as a whole, there has been this hesitancy to make big changes. And for good and for bad, right? There are legitimate reasons I've heard on firms pumping brakes on making bigger shifts within their law practice or within changes within their business models. But clearly, this type of technology, AI specifically, presents huge opportunities to reduce time and effort spent on more of these mundane tasks that we're talking about. And so, can you maybe speak to this concept of lawyers seeing this change as being forced, and maybe there being a strong hesitancy to embrace this within the legal profession?
Absolutely. I mean, so first of all, it is really important to understand that AI isn't about replacing humans, but rather enhancing their capabilities. Just like the Industrial Revolution or the Internet Revolution, a lot of people thought that the technology is going to replace people, but what ended up happening is it grew economies. It made actually human advancement a lot faster than it used to be. So I'm actually super passionate and excited right now as well, because we are at one of those points in the history where the value generation is going up significantly and super fast. So just like Industrial Revolution and Internet Revolution, there's an AI revolution right now, and it is actually going to grow economies and enhance human beings in many ways that we're going to talk about, in 20 years, and we're going to go back and say, wow, those were the days that these all happened. So I actually think the other direction, and actually the demand for human lawyers are going to go up because AI is going to eliminate mundane tasks. Is going to allow lawyers to focus more on the strategic work, build client relationships, engage in creative problem solving, and and this will eventually decrease the cost for legal services, which means the legal services are going to be accessible for a significantly larger portion of the population. And the demand actually for legal professionals is going to skyrocket. And actually, right now, if you go to any law firm, uh, there's not enough lawyers, there's not enough paralegals, there's just not enough legal professionals, just in general, and the industry is suffering to find quality and professionals just in general. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually think this is gonna increase the value of the industry significantly more than it used to be.
Yeah, I find that really fascinating, and I love your vision for that. There's certainly a lot that may change that we can't foresee, but you're right. I mean, if you see where this is going, maybe if you're a transactional lawyer and that's all you're doing, and it's just a matter of billing by hours. There very well may be some pivoting within the business model, but just as you're alluding to here, Jay, and I think that's the important piece to stress, it's not that there's demand that's going to be decreasing. In fact, if anything, it's going to be increasing. But through that technology, lawyers are going to be able to be much more productive and efficient, which really will most certainly move and shake this industry as we've known it before, because the ones who are willing to embrace it are ultimately the ones, I believe, who will leave the others behind.
Absolutely, yeah. And I get that question quite often too. Like, just in general, like this, is AI going to replace lawyers? But yeah, the answer to that is AI is not going to replace lawyers, but the lawyers who use AI is going to be a lot more competitive against the lawyers who do not use AI in their day-to-day operations. Yeah, it's just efficiency, effectiveness, and being able to get to the value as quick as possible.
I agree, Jay. And I think, if as we continue in this discussion, another topic, we talked a little bit about, resistance to change, which certainly has plagued some lawyers in the industry, but there's also this other side, the ethics side of AI and its implications. So clearly, we've talked about some of the benefits that AI will naturally produce for the legal industry. I think it's vast in what it's going to create. But the question there lies is, how can law firms ensure that if they're using AI as part of their business, that they're not overstepping any kind of ethical violations, and they're doing this in a responsible manner, not only for their business, but most importantly for their clients?
Absolutely, and this is a great question, and I think in the essence of it too, um, you know, first of all, AI should never be considered as a decision-making system alone. It is there to support the decision-making process, but not to replace it. And law firms should establish a really strong governance structure around the use of the data and AI, and make sure there are clear accountabilities and guidelines when it comes to using the outputs from these types of technologies. Um, Again, it is there to simplify the process, but not to replace it completely. And you might be hearing about this too. So one of the AI models that are out there is the GPT, or large language models. And if you actually don't input the right prompt into a technology like that, it does this thing called hallucination. So it may actually hallucinate and give you the answers that you may not be really looking for. So, if you've developed the technology good enough, you're not going to have those. But then, you always need to be cautious about, when you're using these types of technologies, and make sure that there's always human review involved in the process. That said, obviously, like AI should not should always consider fairness, transparency, reliability, those types of fundamental rules. It should not perpetuate existing biases as it should be. So, I actually see ethics, just in legal ethics or AI ethics, to be a growing legal field. Just like what we said, as soon as this technology comes out, there's going to be, the market is going to grow, as well as I think there's going to be a lot of specializations within the practice areas that we know today, as well as there's going to be new practice areas like, AI ethics, that might be a combination of computer science and law.
No doubt. We've actually already had lawyers approach us at the Lawson podcast about talking about that and really starting to work toward building a book of business, which I find fascinating. But that's the beauty of these emerging technologies, right?
Absolutely. Very exciting times.
Well, so Jay, you hit on the ethics concept. What about ensuring data privacy and security? I know that's been a topic that's come up, especially around the ChatGPT concept, but as AI in general, any important considerations you would offer our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, so when you look at these AI models, a lot of that is, again, running on data. And the data security and privacy is not significantly different than what it used to be, just because now there's the whole AI word out there. So obviously things like encryption of sensitive data, anonymizing data when possible, like regular security audits, regulatory compliance. And then basically creating a culture that tells law firms or the legal professionals to approach data as something private rather than easily accessible. Those are all still relevant topics, and should be well thought and should always be part of the process anyways. I mean, even before AI, in the last 10 years we've seen significant digitalization in law. Right now, like over 70% of solo lawyers are using some kind of cloud platform out there. So the data privacy and security has always been there. We just need to make sure now that it is even more pronounced, within the legal teams.
As we wrap up here, Jay, I'd be curious to kind of take it back to Truve itself, the company that you're with, and leveraging AI-powered data analytics is clearly where you focus. That's where you're looking to revolutionize the legal industry. I'd be curious to hear what challenges or any struggles that you all have noticed when integrating AI within the legal profession. Anything notable?
Yeah, I actually want to make something clear. Like, so when people think about AI, they think it is just like this magic black box that you put something in it, and then it gives you, or it does whatever you want it to do, and like it's this, again, like this magic box. But in reality, bringing an AI application to a usable state is extremely hard. And especially in fields like legal, the law of averages does not apply, so you cannot really create something that's gonna capture just the average but not all the edge cases. So when you get into capturing edge cases, it gets extremely more complicated. So just like any other tech company, obviously bringing a product to the market has been super complex, and we're adding more AI functionalities and products to our mix. And that continues to be a challenge, capturing all the edge cases and making sure it is as good as as a human, if a human were to spend a considerable amount of time on that specific task at hand. So that continues to be a challenge for us AI professionals, and I don't think it's going to get any easier. Just the complex nature of the legal space.
That's it. And someone's going to pursue and overcome those barriers and obstacles over time. So that's just the nature of it.
Absolutely.
Jay, thank you so much for being willing to join and speak to AI within the legal profession. We do believe it's going to revolutionize. It'll continue to revolutionize. And we love that there are groups out there like Truve who are doing what they can to keep law firms ahead and going forward. Are there any final points or feedback that you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
Yeah, again, I would say these are very, very interesting and important times, and times that we will remember in about 20 years from now. I think embracing the change and seeing it as an opportunity is really important. So I would say embrace the change and see it as an opportunity. And when you need, talk to a professional that is in this field and can support you in what you might need. So very excited about what the future is going to bring.
Jay, for those interested in Truve or learning more about the group, what's the best way that they can find you?
They can reach out to me via LinkedIn. So that's probably the easiest, with my name, Jay Sarmaz. There's not that many Jay Sarmazes out there. And then or through our website at truve.ai.
Thanks again, Jay. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Tanner.
Lawsome by Consultwebs with Tanner Jones. For show notes, links, and info, go to consultwebs.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Watch for the next Lawsome episode to discover more breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm.